Yes, now we'll start, okay? Yes, today we'll discuss about the concept of underwriting agreement. What is the concept or framework of an underwriting agreement? There is now any oath has been made to refer to the concept of underwriting agreement in Nepal. There is no word. So we understand to this concept with the concept of underwriting agreement. Yes, underwriting agreement is a kind of a contract and agreement which is done by the group of investor or any bank and financial institutions. So to establish their dominance, to establish their dominant role and their dominance in the share market and any capital market that we call as an underwriting agreement. So underwriting agreement is a kind of the contract and agreement among the different investors. These investors, it means the creation of the group for the investment and to establish the syndicate in the share market or capital market. They do the underwriting agreement that we call as an underwriting agreement. So who are the underwriter? Yes, underwriter may be different investor. Investor may be the any bank, any financial institution, any companies, any bank and financial institution, any company, different companies may be the underwriter. They may be the investor. So different investor do the agreement and they do the agreement to purchase the share and to purchase and sell newly issued share capital and to involve in a capital market. They do the agreement. So that's why the what is the objective and purpose of the underwriter? Definitely the purpose and objective of an underwriter agreement or the underwriter, they do the agreement to establish their syndicate and their dominant role because to establish the syndicate, to create the syndicate and to purchase certain amount of certain percent of the newly issued share of any company, they do the agreement that we call as an underwriting agreement. Underwriting agreement भनेको त्यस्तो एग्रिमेन्ट हो कुनै ब्याङ्क एन्ड फाइनान्सियल इन्स्टिट्युसनहरूले कम्पनी पनि हुन सक्छ त्यो कम्पनीहरू र ब्याङ्कहरूले कुनै सेयर कम्पनीको सेयर खरिद बिक्री गर्नको लागि र खरिद गर्नको लागि मार्केटमा आफ्नो आधिपत्य जमाउन र मार्केटमा आफ्नो डोमिनेन्ट रोल जमाउनको लागि गरिने एग्रिमेन्टलाई that we call as an underwriting agreement. Simple word. So that's why underwriting agreement is done among the group of investors. They create the group to purchase the share capital which is issued by the company. कम्पनीले इस्यु गर्ने कुनै जारी गर्ने सेयर खरिद गर्नको लागि त्यस्तो इन्भेस्टरहरूले त्यस्तो ग्रुपले गरिने एग्रिमेन्टलाई that we call as an underwriting agreement. So that's why yes, underwriting agreement is a contract between the group of investment banks or any investors. The purpose of the underwriting agreement is to ensure that the players of the shareholders ensure that all the players of the understand their responsibility in the process of purchasing and selling of the share. Definitely, purpose of underwriting agreements to establish the syndicate in a share market. सेयर मार्केटमा सिन्डिकेट जमाउने उद्देश्य लिएर कुनै कम्पनीले जारी गर्ने सेयर खरिद गर्नको लागि कम्पनीहरू मिलेर त्यस्तो खालको ग्रुप फर्म गर्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी underwriting agreement भन्छ. That we call as underwriting agreement. So underwriting agreement is also called as underwriting contract. Is a kind of the underwriting contract. त्यसलाई हामी underwriting contract भन्छौँ. सेयर मार्केटमा कुनै कम्पनीले जारी गर्ने सेयरहरू खरिद गर्नको लागि कम्पनीहरूको बीचमा मिलेर कम्पनीले कुनै ग्रुप फर्म गर्छ र त्यसको ग्रुप फर्म गर्नको लागि एग्रिमेन्ट गर्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी underwriting agreement भन्छौँ. That we call as a concept of an underwriting agreement. So yes, underwriting agreement may be considered as a contract. It's a contract between a corporations issuing the new security to issue the new security and purchase the new security. कुनै नयाँ सेयर इस्यु गर्नको लागि र पर्चेज गर्नको लागि त्यस्तो खालको एग्रिमेन्ट गर्छ भने that we call as an underwriting agreement. So simple word. So it's underwriting agreement is yes contract between the corporation issuing a new security issue and underwriting group that agrees to purchase and resell their issue share for the profit. Yes, they do the agreement for the newly issued share and for the agrees to purchase a certain percent of the share and resell the share issue and the profit. They do the agreement. So that we call as an underwriting agreement. Underwriting agreement is done by the investor or group of the investor. That is the share capital market. They do the agreement to purchase certain percent of the share capital of the company which is newly issued and they agrees to buy it and purchase it and sell it and take the profit. That is the underwriting agreement. So underwriting agreement generally it is done for the purpose of the issuance of the new share and the purchasing and selling of the share capital of the company in a capital market that we call as an underwriting agreement. For that purpose, they do the agreement. That is the concept of underwriting agreement. यो ग्रुप अफ इन्भेस्टरले कुनै ब्याङ्क एन्ड फाइनान्सियल इन्स्टिट्युसनहरूले कम्पनीको कुनै नयाँ जारी गर्ने सेयर खरिद गर्नको लागि त्यसको बिक्री गर्नको लागि र त्यो बिक्री बापतको प्रफिट लिनको लागि उनीहरूले एग्रीमेन्ट गर्छ भने that is called as an underwriting agreement. So there are various types and different forms of the underwriting agreement. Firm's commitment, the firm's commitment agreement, and best effort underwriting agreement, minimaxi agreement, such kinds of different types of the agreement are here. Firm commitment agreement is that the firm agrees to purchase all the share capital. Firm are completely, they are agreed. Firms are agreed to purchase all the share capital which is issued by the company. So in a firm commitment underwriting agreement, there's underwriting agreement to purchase all the securities offered by the sale, offered for the sale by the company and issue regardless of whether they can sell to invest for the investors. So that's why it's an underwriting agreement. Firm commitment is that the newly issued share capital, they have committed to purchase all the share capital. There's the company who have newly issued to the share capital and they have agreed upon it to purchase all the shares. That is called as a firm commitment share. Firm has committed that we are ready, they committed that we are ready to purchase all the share capital which you have newly issued. कुनै कम्पनीले नयाँ इस्यु गर्ने शेयर क्यापिटल त्यस्तो नयाँ इस्यु गरेको शेयर हामी सबै खरिद गर्छौं भनेर त्यो कमिट गर्छ भने that is firm commit or underwriting agreement. The firm commitment underwriting agreement that we call as a firm committed underwriting agreement. So the next one is best effort of underwriting agreement. Best effort underwriting agreement is that yes, the best effort refers to underwriting agreement is the best sell they are trying to do their best to sell to the share capital, all the share. Is related not only relevant to the only purchase of the share capital, not only to purchasing of the share, but it is concerned with the selling of the share as well. So best effort underwriting agreement is that it is agreement which is done related to the both purchasing and selling of the share capital and their profit. Because they do the best effort, they do the best effort for the selling of the share and take the profit. Profit लिनको लागि बढी भन्दा बढी कहाँबाट शेयर प्रफिट प्राप्त गर्न सक्छ त्यसको लागि उनीहरूले प्रयत्न गर्छ भने त्यसलाई बेस्ट इफोर्ट अंडरराइटिंग एग्रीमेंट भन्छ. So best effort underwriting agreement do their best to sell all the share capitals of the company which is offered by the securities offered by the issuer. Issuer company ले अफर गरेको शेयर चाहिँ बढी भन्दा बढी चाहिँ बेस्ट सेल गर्छु भनेर उनीहरूले कमिट गरेको हुन्छ. That is the best effort. So best effort is that yes, company issues the share and they have committed that we'll do in a later on. Will do the best effort for the selling of the share capital which you have issued. तिमीले अहिले इस्यु गरेको शेयर भविष्यमा हामी बेस्ट इफोर्ट लगाएर यसलाई बिक्री गर्छौं, प्रफिटमा लैजान्छौं भनेर कमिट गर्छ भने that we call as the best effort underwriting agreement. So these are the conditions they can do. They could write such kinds of conditions. They could keep such kinds of conditions during the agreement or the contract. So that's why that we call as an underwriting. Best efforts refers that yes, and during the time of selling of the share which you have now issued as a new share, yes, definitely we will do our best effort. हामी भविष्यमा यो शेयर बिक्री गर्ने बेलामा गर्नु पर्यो भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा हाम्रो बेस्ट इफोर्ट लगाउँछौं भनेर भन्छ भने that is the best effort underwriting share capital. Yes sir, yes, that is the best effort underwriting agreement. And next one is mini-maxi underwriting agreement. Yes, there is the fixation of the minimum and maximum rate of the share capital that we call as a mini-maxi underwriting agreement. Definitely, yes, the mini-maxi underwriting agreement. In a mini-maxi agreement is a type of the best effort, a kind of the best effort of the underwriting agreement that does not become effective until the minimum amount of the share capital is solved. Because it only comes into force that it became effective until a minimum amount of the security is solved. So that is the mini-maxi. So that's why when the minimum amount is met, then the share capital they will sell. So that's why the underwriting agreement they sell the securities up to the maximum amount specified under the terms of the offering. So that's why mini-maxi refers that yes, the share capital they will purchase because the minimum and maximum amount of the share capital is generally fixed. So minimum amount of the share capital is fixed share, that we call as a minimax. So minimum भनेको चाहिँ यो मिनिमम शेयर क्यापिटल सब्सक्रिप्सनको रेट नपुगेसम्म, अमाउन्ट सेल नभएसम्म हामी यो चाहिँ यो शेयरलाई चाहिँ इफेक्टिभ बनाउँदैन है. मिनिमम अमाउन्ट अफ द सेक्युरिटी इज टु बी सल्भ. मिनिमम अमाउन्ट बिक्री भइसकेपछि मात्रै त्यस्तो अवस्थामा मात्रै इफेक्टिभमा आउँछ है भनेर दे डु द एग्रिमेन्ट, that we call as a minimax agreement. So that's why minimum rate certain amount of 80 रेटमा चाहिँ हामी खरिद गर्छौं and maximum हामी 80 सम्म बिक्री गरिदिन सक्छौं. We could sell in a maximum rate of this share capital. So that we call as a minimax agreement. Such kinds of agreement they can do as an underwriting agreement. So that's why minimum and maximum rate of the capital of the share capital is fixed in a minimax agreement. So that's why yes, the once the minimum is made, it is made minimum rate, the underwriter may then sell the securities upon the maximum amount. Minimum share बिक्री भइसकेपछि त्यसको maximum amount मा चाहिँ उनीहरुले सेल गर्छ. Then after it became effective after the minimum share capital is sold. निश्चित मूल्य बिक्री भइसकेपछि मात्रै त्यसलाई बिक्री गर्ने हामी सेल गर्छौं भनेर उनीहरुले कमिट गरेको हुन्छ. So that's why yes, all the funds collected from the investor are held in a escrow until the underwriting is completed. त्यो underwriting agreement गरेको विषयमा चाहिँ त्यो शेयरहरुबाट कलेक्ट गरेको इन्भेस्टरबाट कलेक्ट गरेको मनी चाहिँ मिनिमम निश्चित प्रतिशत बिक्री नभएसम्म, खरिद नभएसम्म त्यो इफेक्टिभ नहुने उनीहरुले भन्छ. So they do the agreement, such kinds of agreement they can do. So the minimum amount of the securities is specified by the offering cannot be raised. So minimum amount has to be specified. Minimum amount कति हो त्यो चाहिँ सोल्ड भएको हुनुपर्छ. त्यसपछि मात्रै they agreed upon to purchase the share capital. त्यसपछि मात्रै उनीले शेयर पर्चेज गर्न अथवा उनीहरुले शेयर पर्चेज गर्न एग्री गर्छ. त्यसले मिनिमम सब्स्क्रिप्सन पुग्नुपर्छ. 80% सम्म शेयर मार्केटमा पर्चेज भयो भने, खरिद बिक्री भयो भने, 80% सेल भयो भने मात्रै हामी त्यसमा खरिद गर्छौं भनेर उनीले कमिट गरेको हुन्छ. So that's why the offering is cancelled and investor funds are returned to them. अब त्यस्तो अवस्थामा मिनिमम 80% बिक्री भयो भने मात्रै हामी शेयर खरिद गर्छौं भनेर उनीले कमिट गरेको हुन्छ. That we call as a mini and maxi. So that's why minimum rate and the maximum rate of the capital condition is share capital is such kinds of condition is kept in an agreement that we call as a mini-maxi underwriting agreement. If the minimum share capital is sold, then we all commit to purchase it. Company को निश्चित प्रतिशत शेयर बिक्री भयो भने हामी त्यो निश्चित प्रतिशत बिक्री भएको शेयर चाहिँ हामी 80 मा सेल गर्दिन्छौं अथवा हामी त्यसलाई 80% बाँकी रहेको हामी खरिद गर्छौं भनेर उनीले एग्रीमेन्ट गर्छ भने that we call as mini-maxi agreement. So there must be, it can be effective only after the minimum subscription of share capital is sold. Minimum share बिक्री भइसकेपछि मात्रै यो चाहिँ इफेक्टिभ हुन सक्छ. So that we call as a mini-maxi agreement. That we call as a mini-maxi underwriting agreement. And yes, next one is with an all and non-underwriting. All and non-underwriting agreement is that they do the agreement is open, so free. It's a kind of the open and free type of underwriting agreement. There is now any hard and fast condition. So the all and non-underwriting agreement is that yes, it is issuer determines that it must be receive the proceeds from the sale of all the shares of the securities. जति शेयर इस्यु गरेको छ सबै शेयरहरु उनीले खरिद गर्न सक्छ र इस्यु गरेको शेयरको इन्भेस्टरको फन्ड्सको आधारमा जति छ त्यो फन्ड्सको आधारमा उनले सबै शेयरहरु बिक्री पनि गर्न सक्छ, खरिद बिक्री गर्न सक्छ. That we call as all and non underwriting. All and non underwriting is that there is an agreement, and is agreement according to the agreement they do the purchase and they sell the share capital. There is now in a hard and fast condition. त्यस्तो कुनै शर्तहरु राखिदैन, खाली underwriting agreement गर्छ र उनीले शेयर खरिद गर्छन्, बिक्री गर्छन्. That we call as all and non underwriting agreement. So such kinds of agreement as all and non standby underwriting agreement is that standby always they are ready to purchase the share capital. That is standby. So standby refers that is directly they are ready at any time. If the company issues the share capital to the public at the time, they are ready to invest the money. That we call it standby underwriting agreement. Standby मा बसिराखेको हुन्छ उनीहरु शेयर खरिद गर्नको लागि. So that's why underwriting agreement is definitely generally termed for the purchasing and selling of the share capital by the different investment groups. कुनै different investment groupहरुले share capital purchase गर्नको लागि, खरिद गर्नको लागि गरिने त्यस्तो एग्रीमेन्टलाई हामी के भन्छौं भने underwriting agreement. That's why underwriting agreement is a contract between and among of the different investors. Those the investors who want to invest the money capital in a share market, they do the agreement that we call as an underwriting agreement. So purpose of the underwriting agreement is to create the dominance, to create the domination and the syndicate in a share market and capital market. Capital market मा आफ्नो syndicate अधिपति आफ्नो प्रभुत्व जमाइराख्नको लागि आफ्नो dominance जमाइराख्नको लागि group of investor ले गरिने agreement लाई हामी underwriting agreement भन्छौँ. The group of investors do the agreement and they purchase the share and they involve both the purchasing and the selling of the share capital in the share market. Share market मा share खरिद गर्न र बिक्री गर्नको लागि उनीहरूले agreement गर्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी that we call as underwriting agreement. This is simple word, is understand. Our next one is brokerage agreement. Definitely brokerage agreement is a kind of the agent agreement. Agreement on the agent. Agent refers that yes, any agent is a principal, there is a kind of the word is a representative. Brokerage agreement. As a broker, they take the commission. Broker may be any individual or maybe any company or any institution. Maybe any company, legal person, natural person, both can be the brokerage, but can be the broker. So brokerage agreement is a commission sales agreement. We call it as a commission sales agreement because the principal do the agreement with the brokerage. Any broker may be a person, any individual or any institution or any company. So that we call as a brokerage agreement. So for the selling of the property or the merger and acquisition, there may be the purpose, different acts and purpose of the brokerage. Brokerage agreement भनेको प्रिन्सिपलले कुनै एउटा ब्रोकरलाई एग्रीमेन्ट गरेर सम्झौता गरेर त्यो काम सम्पन्न गर्नको लागि गरिने एग्रीमेन्टलाई ब्रोकरेज एग्रीमेन्ट भन्छ. Broker are the agent. They are just a representative to work because everything is controlled by the after the brokerage agreement. Everything is controlled by the broker. Brokerले control गर्छ because for the amalgamation and merger of the two company and the two banks, कुनै दुईटा ब्याङ्कलाई मर्जर गर्नु पर्यो, अब त्यसलाई amalgamationमा लैजानु पर्यो भने दुईटै ब्याङ्कको तर्फबाट ब्रोकरले काम गर्छ as a representative, प्रतिनिधिको रूपमा एजेन्टको रूपमा काम गर्छ. That we call as a brokerage agreement. So what are the works of the brokerage agreement? Yes, definitely merger, acquisition of the company or merger of the company, amalgamation of the acquisition at the same time, company मिलाउने काम गर्छ, and selling of the property of the company, and management buyout, one company's management buyout to another company. So kind of the management buyout and financing and other typical business issues. They involve in the works of any typical business worker and management buyout, recapitalization of the company, and selling and merger of the company. They do the work. कुनै कम्पनीको तर्फबाट company is the principal and as an agent they do work. The principal ले उनलाई त्यो प्रमुख व्यक्ति जुन company छ त्यो प्रमुखले as agent को रूपमा उनलाई employ गर्छ. That is the brokerage agreement. And they do the agreement with the as per the agreement they take the commission. उनले त्यो काम गरिदिए बापत उनले commission प्राप्त गर्छ. That we call as a brokerage agreement, simple word. So that's why brokerage agreement contract is a written contract by which the broker employed as an agent. They employed as an agent through any company, contract the name on behalf of the principal. They do the act and different works on behalf of the principal because principal has appointed to them. Principals are appointed to them and they do the work. They involve in the field what the power and the works has delegated by their principal to them. Principal जे अराएको छ त्यो काम as agent को रूपमा काम गर्दछ. That we call as a brokerage agreement. Surely when the brokerage agreement is done and the two applied, because for the purpose of the acquisition of the company like acquisition merger मा पठाउनु पर्यो भने ब्रोकरेजहरुले काम गर्छ because everything is assigned and controlled by them. Power is assigned to them and they have control. Brokerage have control. Brokerage may be any individual or any company. Brokerage चाहिँ कुनै व्यक्ति पनि हुन सक्छ, कुनै कम्पनी पनि हुन सक्छ. त्यो व्यक्ति र कम्पनीले एज एजेन्ट को रूपमा काम गर्छ भने that we as a brokerage agreement, a brokerage contract. So brokerage agreement contract, the work is so selling of the property of the company and acquisition of the company, merger of the company, and management buyout of any company and any typical business of company. They do. So principal appoints and the principals generally apply to them, employ to them, and they work in the field of the management buyout or any amalgamation and merger of the company. So they do such kinds of work. That we call as a brokerage agreement. कुनै ब्रोकरले प्रिन्सिपलले ब्रोकरेज एग्रीमेन्ट गरेर एज अ प्रतिनिधिको रूपमा काम गर भनेर एज अ कमिसनको रूपमा एज द प्रॉफिट एज अ रेम्युनरेसन दे कुड गेट अ कमिसन, ब्रोकरेज कमिसन प्राप्त गरेछ, त्यसलाई हामी ब्रोकरेज एग्रीमेन्ट. इट्स अ काइन्ड अफ एजेन्ट. the work of the agent that we call as a brokerage agreement. Agent को रूपमा काम गर्ने हामी brokerage agreement. So this type of the contract whereby a person or a company acts as a sales agent. Definitely they work as a sales agent. Brokerage agreement is a sales agent. Selling of the company's property or the management buyout of any company. That's what they do the work. Management buyout गर्ने company को सम्पत्तिहरू बिक्री गरिदिने company दुईटा companyलाई मिलाइदिने such kinds of work they do as an agent. So they are working as a sales agent on behalf of their principal, on behalf of their exporting company, means principal company. So on behalf of the principal company, they work as an agent and representative for the overall work of the company, for the merger, amalgamation, or the selling of the company's property. In this field they do work. So everything is left in the hand of the agent. After that, after brokerage agreement, everything is left out in the hand of the brokerage. The broker को ह्यान्डमा सबै कुरा छोडिदिन्छ ब्रोकरले सबै काम गर्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी ब्रोकरेज चाहिँ प्रतिनिधि वारिस नियुक्ति गर्ने भन्छौँ प्रतिनिधि नियुक्ति गर्ने कुनै काम गर्नलाई फर एक्जाम्पल इन द कोर्टमा अधिकृत वारिसनामा लिएर मुद्दा मेरो अनुपस्थितिमा सम्पूर्ण मुद्दा फलानाले मेरो फलाना अदालतमा चलिराखेको मुद्दा हेर्नको लागि वारिसनामा दिएको छु भनेर भन्छ such kinds of things as a brokerage agreement is that यो कम्पनीको बिक्रीको लागि र कम्पनी मर्जरको लागि सम्पूर्ण काम गर्नको लागि ब्रोकरेज एग्रिमेन्ट फलाना प्रतिनिधि पठाइदिएको छ मेरो तर्फबाट काम गर्नेमा सम्पूर्ण मन्जुरी छ भनेर नियुक्ति गरिन्छ so it's this kind of the power of attorney that we call as a brokerage agreement. So power and all the authorities are delegated to them and they do the consultation with the another party and the work is done by them. So as a commission, as a remuneration they take the commission. So this type of contract is usually called as a commission sales agreement. Yes, brokerage agreement is a commission sales agreement that we call as a commission sales agreement, that we call as a brokerage agreement. Okay, that's a concept of the brokerage agreement. So that's why brokerage agreement is a kind of the agreement of the agent. कसैको कम्पनीको कुनै काम गर्दिनको लागि एजेन्टको रूपमा काम गर्नको लागि एग्रिमेन्ट गर्छ भने that we call as a brokerage agreement. त्यसलाई नै हामी brokerage agreement भन्छौँ. So sales agreement भनौँ न एक प्रकार. Okay, there is the brokerage and these are the concept of the brokerage agreement and the underwriting agreement. Underwriting agreement चाहिँ मार्केटमा सिन्डिकेट जमाउने उद्देश्यले कम्पनीको बीचमा गरिने एग्रिमेन्ट that is underwriting agreement. But the brokerage agreement, definitely the brokerage agreement is the agreement done by the company, principal company and their agent. The agent and principal company do the agreement contract between them to sell and merger, amalgamation, and the sale of the property of the company. They do the agreement that we call as a brokerage agreement. So on behalf of the principal company or the exporting company, the agent or representative, they do the work. Principal company ko tarfa on behalf of them, they do the work because everything is controlled within the condition and within the limitation of the brokerage agreement. That contract the limitation to brokerage agreement को contract भित्र शर्त भित्र उनले काम गर्छ र company merger, selling, amalgamation सबै काम गर्छ. That we call as a brokerage agreement. Simple word. And the next one is that we have repeatedly discussed this concept, the difference or distinction between the public company and private company. What are the differences between public company and the private company? Public and private company, key difference we'll see. Okay, we can differentiate or distinct between private and public company from the various perspectives on the basis of numbers of the shareholder and on the basis of numbers of the share capital, on the basis of the name class of the company. We can distinct between both the private and public company. There are various methods and ways, various bases to differentiate between the public and the private company. Different ways are there, but the major distinction between public and private company are here. The first one is that the minimum number of the member. On the basis of minimum number of the member. Yes, for the private company, minimum 1 and 101. In the private company, in a 1 to 101, people are there. Investor and promoter are there. To register or incorporate the private company, minimum 1 to 101. Private company दर्ता गर्नको लागि 1 देखि 101 जना. For the registration or incorporation of public company, minimum 7, maximum unlimited. If any individual is going to register the company, minimum 7 and unlimited. Minimum 7 देखि unlimited असीमित जति पनि हुन सक्छ public company. But if any corporate body or public company is going to establish another company, the less than 7 can be enough. कुनै पब्लिक कम्पनीले अर्को कम्पनी कुनै संस्था इन्स्टिट्युसनले सार्वजनिक संस्थान र पब्लिक कम्पनी मिलेर अर्को कम्पनी बनाउनु पर्यो भने त्यस्तो हकमा चाहिँ 7 जना आवश्यक पर्दैन 7 भन्दा कम भए पनि हुन्छ to establish the public company. So that's why public company registration for the registered public company minimum 7, maximum unlimited. When one public company or corporate body is going to establish another company, less than 7 can be enough, and maximum unlimited. Minimum less than 7 can be there, but the private company is 1 and 101. This is the limitation of the minimum member. And maximum number of the member, definitely maximum in a private company 101, public company unlimited. Public company ma maximum number असीमित हुन्छ खाली प्राइभेट कम्पनीमा म्याक्सिमम नम्बर भनेको 101 जना 101 जना नबढ्ने गरी प्राइभेट कम्पनी दर्ता गर्न सक्छ दे क्यान शेयर ट्रान्सफर शेयर विदिन 101 101 जना भित्र मात्रै उनीहरूले शेयर ट्रान्सफर गर्न नट एक्सिडिङ 101 दे क्यान ट्रान्सफर देयर शेयर क्यापिटल उसको आफ्नो शेयर ओनरशिप सेल गर्न सक्छ तर नट एक्सिडिङ 101 101 जना भन्दा चाहिँ बढी बढाउनु हुँदैन शेयर होल्डरको संख्या so that is the restriction in a minimum and maximum restriction both in the private and public company. So on the basis of number of the shareholder we can distinct between the private company and public company. Public or private company हामी minimum र maximum number को आधारमा छुट्याउन सक्छौं first basis. And secondly restriction on the name. In the restriction of the name, yes, private company rights, private Ltd, private limited, and the public company rights in its last at the end of the name of a company only limited. So the name of the public company must end with the word limited. The name of the company his name is end with the word of limited. We write limited in the last name of the public company, but private company there is b.a.ll.b. जति पनि कम्पनी छ लिमिटेड लेखेको छ भने पब्लिक कम्पनी हो b.a.ll.b लेखेको छ भने त्यसलाई प्राइभेट कम्पनी रहेछ भनेर बुझ्नु पर्यो. This is the word limitation difference between public and private. And next one is commencement of business. On the basis of commencement of business, commencement refers to the starting of the start of business, starting of the business. For the starting of the business, commencement of the business, yes, after registration, approval is necessary for the public company. For the permission is necessary to commence their business to the public company. But the private company now permission is required. As soon as possible after incorporation, it can commence their business. पब्लिक कम्पनी संस्थापना भइसकेपछि त्यसको बिजनेस कमेन्स गर्नको लागि बिजनेस स्टार्ट गर्नको लागि ओसीआर को कम्पनी रजिस्टर्ड कार्यालयको परमिसन अनिवार्य हुन्छ तर प्राइभेट कम्पनीको हकमा अनिवार्य परमिसन लिन जरुरी छैन एज सुन एज पोसिबल आफ्टर इन्कर्पोरेसन दे क्यान स्टार्ट देयर बिजनेस प्राइभेट कम्पनीको हकमा अनुमति लिन जरुरी छैन कम्पनीको बिजनेस सुरु गर्न तर पब्लिक कम्पनीको हकमा to commence their business the permission of the OCR is required. The OCR permission is required to commence the business for the case of the public company. Okay, and the next distinction is that yes, the invitation to the general public. Only public company can invite to the general public. Invitation can make because in the public company invitation they can do. They can sell and purchase share capital publicly. They can trade share capital publicly. Only the public company can invite. They can invite to the subscription of the share to subscribe the share capital in the company. Public company मात्रै share subscribe गर्नको लागि invite गर्न सक्छ. So that's why invitation to the public only can make by public company. Private company has no right. Now private company can invite the general public. Only within 101, the members not exceeding to 101, they can transfer and they can invite to others. 101 जना नबढ्ने गरी मात्रै अर्को व्यक्तिलाई इन्भाइट गर्न सक्छ. The public company मात्रै yes, invitation to the general public. Only public company can issue the share capital, but there are certain conditions and requirements which has to be fulfilled by the public company. The public company should have to fulfill certain condition is that. And next one is transferability of the share. Definitely, the public company share capital is transfer. Private company now transferability of the share. Said they can't transfer. They can transfer within 101. Limitation of the member. 101 जना भित्र चाहिँ share transfer गर्न सक्छ. So transferability of share in public company they could not transfer. They can transfer share anytime. In the public company, it can transfer their share capital to anyone and any time. But in private company, yes, within 101, they can transfer their share capital. Not more than this. So this is the transferable share. And next one, restriction on the appointment of director. Definitely appointment of director. Yes, board of directors number according to the Company Act. In accordance to Company and Public Company Board of Directors number is minimum 3 and maximum 11. Public company. The board of directors numbers are minimum 3, maximum 11, and the private company minimum 1, maximum 11. After the amendment of the Company Act in 2074 BS, the first time our Company Act was amended in 2074 BS. So this amendment has made that new provision is that the minimum number of the board of director in the private company minimum 1, maximum 11, and public company minimum 3, maximum 11. Public company मा board of director को संख्या minimum 3, maximum 11 जना हुन्छ. Private मा पनि minimum 1, maximum 11 जना सम्म रहन्छ. And there is another provision of the independent director. Independent director can appoint by the company if the board of director less than 7. 7 भन्दा कम board of director छ भने एकजना स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालक नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. An independent director can appoint if the board of directors members are less than 7. If board of directors members are more than 7, 2 independent director can appoint by the company. Company ले स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालकको संख्या 7 भन्दा बढी छ भने 1-2 जना स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालक नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. 7 भन्दा कम छ भने 1 जना स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालक नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. Why independent director? Because if they have any expertise, any knowledge and experience in the relevant field, they could appoint as an independent director in the company. Those persons who have the expertise, who have the knowledge and experience to the relevant field, they could appoint as a company. For example, those are the person who have been working since this 20 years before. The son 20 years back, he's working in the relevant high depart field. They could appoint as a board of directors as a high depart company. So that's why the independent director can appoint by the company. कुनै विशेषज्ञता हासिल गरेको विशेषज्ञलाई कम्पनीले सञ्चालक समिति नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. जसले सञ्चालक समितिको संख्या एक पब्लिक कम्पनीमा 3 देखि 11, प्राइभेटमा 1 देखि 11 जनासम्म. 7 देखि कम छ भने 1 जना स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालक नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. 7 भन्दा बढी छ भने 2 जना स्वतन्त्र सञ्चालक नियुक्ति गर्न सक्छ. This is the appointment system. And next one is statutory meeting. Yes, public company must have held the statutory meeting once a year. एक वर्षमा AGM बस्नै पर्छ, statutory meeting बस्नै पर्छ. Private company is according to MOA and the consensus agreement. सर्वसम्मत सम्झौताले निर्णय गर्यो भने चाहिँ private company is enough. In the case of private company, according to the MOA and consensus agreement, private company को हकमा प्रबन्ध पत्र नियमावली र सर्वसम्मत सम्झौतामा तुके बमोजिम भनेपछि सक्यो. So public company once a year, the AGM of the company should have to be, it has to be held. So AGM must hold once a year. Statutory meeting refers to that AGM, annual general meeting. General meeting should have to, it has to be held once a year. Compulsorily by the public company. Public company ले प्रत्येक वर्षमा वार्षिक साधारण सभा गर्नुपर्छ एक वर्षमा अनिवार्य हुन्छ. र प्राइभेट कम्पनीको हकमा सर्वसम्मत सम्झौता बमोजिम साधारण सभा नियमावलीमा तोकी बमोजिम सर्वसम्मत सम्झौता भनिसकेपछि त्यस आधारमा उनले AGM बस्ने गर्दछ. So necessary, no necessary, but as mentioned in MOA and consensus agreement in the case of the private company. But in case of public company must hold once a year is general meeting. इसको general meeting साधारण सभा चाहिँ वर्षमा एक पटक बस्नै पर्छ. This is the differences between public and private. And of the differences between the public and private quorum, on the basis of quorum, there is a agendas to resolve the agenda in an annual general meeting of the company. In the AGM of the company to resolve the specific and ordinary issue. There is two kinds of the issue. One is specific issue, next is ordinary issue. साधारण प्रस्ताव र विशेष प्रस्ताव भन्ने हुन्छ. विशेष प्रस्तावको लागि 75% shareholder must have to be adopted it. 75% ले पारित गर्यो भने मात्रै विशेष प्रस्तावहरू पारित हुन्छ. शेयरहोल्डरको मिटिङ हो AGM भनेको. त्यो AGM मा शेयरहोल्डरको मिटिङमा कुनै एजेन्डामा छलफल गर्दा साधारण प्रस्ताव 50% ले पारित हुन्छ quorum. विशेष प्रस्ताव छ भने 75% is required. It's necessary. So that's why quorum is that to resolve any issue in the annual general meeting of the company, the shareholders, the numbers of the shareholders must be adopted it by the 75% for the special resolution and general resolution 50% is enough. It's enough to resolve any issue. कुनै issue resolve गर्नको लागि विशेष प्रस्ताव छ भने 75% शेयरहोल्डरको संख्या पुग्नुपर्छ. साधारण प्रस्तावको हकमा सामान्य 50% भए पुग्छ भन्छ. This is the quorum. It's the number of the quorum. So this is the difference between public and the private company. Private company हकमा yes unanimous agreement, सर्वसम्मत सम्झौता consensus agreement भनेपछि सक्यो. Private company हकमा this is now necessary. And issuance of the share warrants definitely and the further share issue. Only the public company can issue the share capital to the general public. Public company मात्र share issue warrantहरू जारी गर्न, share issueहरू जारी गर्न सक्छ. The right share is given to them. FPO, IPO, right share, bonus share. Only the public company can issue. Private company can't issue any kinds of such kinds of share capital. So that's why a public company can issue the share warrants but such a right is denied to the private company. Right warrantहरु जारी गर्न सक्छ, यति भित्र शेयर जारी गर्ने आह्वान गर्ने certain limitation are there. So this requirement has to be fulfilled by them. Your requirement will be fulfilled. So that's why the only public company can issue the share, and the right share, bonus share, different shares the public company can issue. Private company it do not have such kinds of right. Private company त्यस्तो शेयरहरु issue गर्न सक्दैन, right bonus शेयरहरु issue गर्न सक्दैन. So only they provide the dividend, maybe dividendहरु हुन सक्छ, bonus right आफ्नो हिसाबले दिन सक्छ. So only public company can issue the shares to the general public. Private company has no right. These are the yes on the basis of numbers of the members, on the basis of the board of director, on the basis of the quorum of the company, and statutory meeting of a company. So and selling of the share capital and transferability of the share capital. These are the different bases from where we can differentiate between the public and the private company. Public or private company लाई हामी यसको संख्याको आधारमा, share transferability को आधारमा, यसको limitation को आधारमा, बोर्ड अफ डाइरेक्टर को संख्याको आधारमा, यसले गर्ने कामका शेयर क्यापिटल को खरीद बिक्रीको आधारमा हामी छुट्याउन सक्छौं. These are the ways to differentiate between both the public and the private company. These are the ways. Okay, यसको आधारमा हामी public र private company छुट्याउन सक्छौं. Yes. Okay, the class is over for now today. आजलाई यति गरौं. Next we will discuss next part.